a lover of children. A very ugly man with bristly hair, a face lined with smallpox scars and covered with freckles, an irregular and prickly beard with no neckerchief, a man whose badly buttoned trousers drooping over his sock as these did over his rough shoes, a man with panting, jerky walk, with eyes which at one moment sparkled, wide open, and at another closed in inward contemplation, with features which sometimes reflected a deep sorrow, and then sometimes the purest joy, with a voice which was now hesitating and now impetuous, now soft and harmonious, and now storming like thunder. We all loved him as he loved us all. We loved him so deeply that we were sad when we did not see him for a time, and when he returned we could not turn our eyes away from him. This is how a former pupil describes Jonah Heinrich Pestalozzi, whose name has now almost faded into oblivion. In 18th century Europe, however, he was a guest of kings and a subject of impassioned debate. He was a good pupil at school, at least in regard to subjects which interested him. He grew into a young man with radical views who joined with other young men of Zurich in a society advocating widespread political and social reform. Although keen to improve social conditions in Zurich, he was not sure of how to go about it. He first thought of entering holy orders, then of becoming a lawyer, and finally concluded that to attain his social aims, he should try to improve the methods of popular education. Pestalozzi tried to combine agriculture and education. He bought a piece of land and built a home on it that he called the New Off. They moved to New Off in early 1771 and were beset immediately by financial difficulties. The first children arrived in 1774. They were given elementary instructions in reading, writing, arithmetic, and religion. The boys were given simple agricultural jobs and weaving to do. The girls were set to spinning, gardening, and cooking. Initially, there were many difficulties and little response from children and parents. But after some time, the situation improved and the children became more cheerful and healthy. This remarkable attitude was completely at odds with the pedagogy prevalent at that time, and for 20 years Pestalozzi lived in a sort of personal no man's land. At long last, Pestalozzi got the opportunity he was waiting for. A new federal government set up in Switzerland by the French offered Pestalozzi the charge of a home for orphans and homeless children at Stans. Pestalozzi accepted the proposal enthusiastically. He was 50 and felt it was his last chance, the death or success of my aims. He moved into a half-built convent, still swarming with masons and carpenters. He hardly settled down when the children began to arrive. Soon there were 80, some from good families, some destitute, a number of them quite violent. Pestalozzi threw himself body and soul into the task of winning their confidence. The dampness of the convent caused many children to fall sick, and Pestalozzi was blamed for it by their parents. It took many months, but finally Pestalozzi won the confidence of most of the children. And finally, by early 1799, a triumphant cry, "It is succeeding in every way. I am blotting out the disgrace of my life. I see and feel that my destiny is equal to that of other men. I myself have become a human being again and reconciled myself so gladly with my race." In June 1799, unfortunately, that convent was turned into a military hospital and the experiment came to an end. But Pestalozzi had proved to himself the validity of his approach to education. A few weeks later, he started to teach in a school at Bergdorf, but his unconventional methods resulted in a crisis which led to his departure from the school. Finally, in October 1800, Pestalozzi was able to run his own institute with an assistant and again met with success. A public inspection by a two-man commission resulted in a glowing tribute which helped to spread Pestalozzi's reputation beyond Switzerland. With fame came a great change. There were more and more visitors to Pestalozzi's institute at Bergdorf. He felt very happy about it. Foreigners arrived daily from all parts to see, to examine, and even to participate. And now I contemplate the approaching end of my career with calm, as honest and careful attention is being almost universally paid to the essence of my activity. Pestalozzi's problem in Bergdorf was that he was personally ill-suited to run such an organization. Fortunately, when Pestalozzi left Bergdorf, he had accepted the charge of a castle at Yeveden. From the start, Yeveden was very different from the happy experience of Stans, where he had looked after the education of a large group of children on his own. Now, with so many assistants and under constant public scrutiny, Pestalozzi became an admired source of inspiration. Pestalozzi spent the last 2 years of his life in New York, where he died in February 1827 after receiving a last defamatory pamphlet about himself and his work. Pestalozzi was a true pioneer who opened a new road for education. He took risks, he suffered setbacks, he sometimes failed, but above all he loved children deeply. And in his deep love, he undoubtedly found the inspiration to serve them.